How much of your pre-retirement income will you need to live off of in retirement? What do you guys think? Lower, higher? In most cases I say, because there are always exceptions, right? I mean, people could have like a tremendously extravagant retirement. I'm definitely not one of them, and most people on moderate income are not going to be like that. But in most cases, it is less than you needed when you were working. I'm getting most of this information from Rowe Price, and they call this your income replacement rate. And it varies. It really varies. Like I said, in most cases, it's going to be less than what you did before, as far as when you were working. Hey guys, leave me some comments. What percentage of your pre-retirement income are you living on now in retirement? Or for those of you who haven't retired yet, how much do you think you'll need? Me, it's actually turned out after 3 years of retirement, it's actually turned out lower than I thought it would. Yeah, not a bad place to be, right? So why is it that we will need less than we needed when we were working in retirement? There's some reasons for you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reasons for you. Number one, when you retire, in most cases, again, this isn't one size fits all, but in most cases, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket than you were when you were working. Okay? Just goes without saying. You know, the income is not coming, especially for those high earners. When you retire, your tax liability will probably be a lot less than when you were working. For instance, for me, I was in the 12% tax bracket. I've been there ever since I retired. The only income I am showing is from when I was taking funds from my retirement funds, or money from my retirement funds in the first 2 years, or was it a year and a half? Year and a half. And the other income is from my YouTube channel. Those, each year, each of the 3 years since I've been retired, have been much lower than the income I was receiving when I was working. Okay, so number one, lower tax liability. Number two, and you know, this is something a lot of people forget to think about. I know I sure did. I'd say until a couple of years before I retired, you're not going to be saving anymore for retirement. How much were you contributing into your 401ks, your IRAs? I was contributing 25, 24, 23, something like that percent of my salary into my 401k the last 5 to 7 years before I retired. You're not contributing that anymore, guys. That's where a lot of your paycheck went, right? Especially for those of you who retired early. So that's not the case anymore. Okay, that's number two. Number three, this one's pretty obvious. You're going to have fewer expenses in retirement. For those of you who had to dress up to work, you know, the old nice suit and tie action. Yeah, looking pretty good over here, right? Yeah, I'm a high-powered exec. Those people, the people that really had to dress up for work, you're not spending on those clothes anymore. And in some cases, that could be really expensive. I know a lot of you probably had a long commute to work. I know I did. You know, in a couple of jobs, I remember one job 9-10 years ago. I was commuting to work. It wasn't too bad because I got there at 6 in the morning, hour and 15 minutes. On the way back, I had traffic, hour 45 minutes on the way back home. And it wasn't that long, like 25 miles. So in a normal traffic environment, wouldn't have been that bad. But that's a lot of expense on gas, right? That's a lot of wear and tear in your car. So that's number two. Gas to commute is a fewer expense. And for some of you, depending on your the kind of jobs you had, you might have had to keep up with the latest trends. What does that mean? Maybe subscriptions to, I don't know, magazines or, you know, internet stuff. When you retire, it's like, who cares about keeping up with my work environment and my you know, whatever I did for a living? Might not be a big expense, but it's an expense. So you were going to have fewer expenses. Rowe Price believes it'll be about 5% less expenses in just those categories I talked about once you retire. What's another one? Number four, As I've said in videos before, retirement is broken up into three phases. The go-go years, which is right after you retire until about the early to mid 70s, depending on the person or the couple. The slow-go years, which is, let's say, mid 70s to early to mid 80s. And then the no-go years. That's usually early 80s on. What does that mean? When you first retire, you're young. You can go do stuff. When you get a little older, not so much. When you get really old, not too much at all, right? So because of that, your expenses are going to go like this. It might be a little bit like this when you first retire. But within a couple years, it'll probably start gradually evening off and then start going down until you hit those no-go years, okay? What am I on? Number 5. Some of you may downsize your house. Some of you may even had a mortgage on a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, and you took the equity out of that when you sold it, and you bought a new house in cash. And this goes along with number 6. You might have downsized to a house you totally paid cash for, or have a much smaller mortgage on, into number 6, an area that is much lower cost living, like I am right here. I'm not that far out of Los Angeles, but it is a much lower cost of living where I am out here in the high desert. Okay, so there are 6 reasons why we're not going to need all of our pre-retirement income. So what is a percentage that you will need? The reason I saved it kind of toward the end of this video is because it really varies. I don't want to totally disappoint you guys. I can't give you like a hard, fast number here, but it really varies depending on the sources you go to. From what I was looking at, I found as low, some experts recommend as low as 55% of your pre-retirement income you can live on. Yeah, unless you just drastically change your life, unless you move to the Alaskan bush and you're living off the land, I find it hard to believe you can get down to almost half. Now, if I'm wrong, for my viewers, if you're currently doing that, let me know, man. Just give me a whack upside the head and say, Duane, you're an idiot. Let me know. But I think 55% is kind of low. This goes all the way up to some institutions think, you might get by in like 80% of your income in retirement. But they do all agree that it's going to be lower than when you were working. Okay, T. Rowe Price, where I'm getting most of this information from, the number they came up with is 75%. Okay, so almost all of the things that I looked at said you were going to be below 80%. You'll need less than 80% of your income that you did when you were working. As I said, I'm like in the high 60s, maybe low 70s. Okay, let's round it out. Let's say 70. I think it's around there. All right. So yeah, I was surprised, guys, to be honest. I was surprised I can get along. I am getting along on that less. I thought mine might be 80. But let me tell you, for those of you that haven't retired yet, guys, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of surprises that come with retirement. To me, this was one of the biggest ones. Knowing that you can get by, and not just get by, but live comfortably. I'm living comfortable here in the high desert. Isn't that a beautiful sky behind me? Just look behind me, guys. Isn't that beautiful? When I get clouds up here, it's exponentially more beautiful. But yeah, that was one of the biggest surprises I had, was that I can get by on as little as I am and still live comfortably. So for those of you who haven't retired yet, do not be discouraged and say, you know what? Man, I was making $80,000 a year before and I was kind of scraping by. Guys, I'm here to tell you, I know it's only 3 years in for me, but I'm here to tell you, in most cases, okay, let me make a caveat here. Maybe in the first year you might go crazy on some vacations, but those of you on moderate income, be careful of that. In most cases, let's say after the first year, okay, you can get by on a lot less than what you were doing when you were working. All right. So don't be discouraged if you're feeling that before you retired. I did. I felt like that too. Just like a lot of things that happen when you retire, you will find out surprises, happy surprises, and some not so happy surprises when you retire. For me, this was a happy surprise. So there you go, guys. I know it's kind of a big, disparity in percentages there for what the experts say you can get by on. But that's my video. That's my spiel. Hope you liked it. And as always, from the beautiful high desert, we got this.